3. Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you've decided to come to a Univirtual Experience event. Can you believe this? This collaboration partnership between educators in VR and Virtual World Society began on May 1st. And it sort of seems like that was just hours ago. And we are on day 15. It is just incredible. We've had so many incredible presentations and moments. And I just want to take a moment as we start to acknowledge our sponsors. This event, this adventure that we're embarking on does not happen without sponsors. And so we just want to say a huge thank you to our Infinity sponsors, HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Education. I think you guys probably know that they've released a new edition of the HP Reverb G2. That's something to check out when you're thinking about another device. You want to check that one out. So we want to say a huge thank you to HP. And we also want to thank our Galaxy sponsors, Engage VR and Avantis, who all of these organizations are changing education in the VR and XR space. So now it is my huge pleasure and honor to pass the mic along to this this wonderful panel. Melanie, you can take it away.
Hello, thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for having us. We want to thank Educators in VR and Univirtual Experience for having us here. My name is Melanie Stark, and I am both a Toastmaster and a brand new Rotarian. So we're here representing two groups, Toastmasters International and Rotary International. But we're not just here to talk about our clubs or try to sell you on our clubs, because honestly, if you like what you hear, that's what we're excited about. What we want to share is how organizations like ours are using virtual reality and the future of virtual reality in organizations like ours. So how this can also help you in your business and your organizations as well. But before we really get into VR and the shared experience, we do want to tell you a little bit about who we are and where we're coming from. So I'd like to start by, first I'll introduce everyone on our panel today. We have Joey Waldrop, who is a longtime Toastmaster, good friend of mine. Stephen Bowe, longtime Rotarian, a good friend. And also Jane Louie, who's also a Rotarian. And she's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the projects she's also working on too, which are really exciting. We'll start with Joey. If you would just tell us a little bit about Toastmasters.
Sure, I'd be glad to do that, Melanie. It's such a pleasure to be here today, and I'm so excited about being here at ALTSPACEVR. I'm a brand new person to it, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot and getting to know a lot of you. So here, what is Toastmasters? Just to give you a brief overview of what Toastmasters is it is an international nonprofit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills. And it teaches it through a worldwide network of clubs. The organization is in has more than 365,000 members. We're in over 145 countries and have over 16,000 Toastmasters clubs. So Toastmasters is designed to help people just not break your budgets, but break barriers in your life. For as little as like $50 every 6 months, you have an opportunity to participate in an organization of learning for speaking and leadership skills. And I think what's really important as in Toastmasters, which is what we offer, is useful tools for leaders. And when we talk about leaders, we're talking about all kinds of leaders. So let me ask you a question. What do I have in common with people like Debbie Fields from Mrs. Fields Cookies, or Peter Coors from Coors Brewing Company, or the late Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek? We've all have been or are Toastmasters currently. And what is important about Toastmasters is that it creates leaders for the future. And what we do in our organization is that we help to shape experiences in leadership for you so that you can learn new skills and pass your skills on to other people. You learn things like how to run a business meeting, or what your different leadership styles are, how to deal with conflict, how to know who your audience is and adjust with flexibility. And there's always an evaluation, there's always a way to improve more. So it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO, an employee, or you're just out to learn how to speak better or gain confidence in public speaking. Our organization has something for you. And what we're focusing on right now is building leaders for the future. And so, in building leaders for the future, we want to build the confidence and the skills that people need to do their jobs and be comfortable in their jobs. Melanie, back to you.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, we're trying to figure out how to get Joey on megaphone because apparently there was a little trouble hearing her, but thank you so much, Joey, and we'll see if we can get that going. But meanwhile, that gives you a little bit of an idea about Toastmasters. Now I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Bowe, who's going to tell you a little bit about Rotary International.
Okay, great. Thank you, Melanie. How many people here have heard of Rotary? Well, the thing about Rotary is an all-volunteer service organization that's been around for 117 years. We have over 1.2 million members worldwide in 178 countries and in over 35,000 clubs. On a international level, we do a lot of service projects from education, literacy, health, environment. One of the biggest things we've done is for the past 35 years, or actually longer now, the fight against polio. In 1985, there were 350,000 cases of polio a year. This year, I believe there are only 4 so far this year due to the vaccinations. In just a few years, it'll only be the second time in history that a disease has been eradicated from the face of the earth. Obviously, this year we've turned a lot of our attention to COVID as well. But on a local level, I belong to a club a little outside of Seattle. We have about 50 members, and we do a lot of organizations or help with a lot of organizations locally here. We do food drives. We do supplies for school students. Anything we see in our neighborhood, in our community, where we can make a positive impact, that's what we try to do. Now, we have a saying in Rotary that there's a day you join Rotary and there's a day you become a Rotarian. And that moment is when you understand why service to others, which is our motto, service above self, is so important. Now, how many of you tried, when you put on your VR helmet, have you tried to explain to somebody what VR is? And you know that look that they give you, that kind of blind look like they don't understand? Well, just like that day we became a Rotarian, with VR, many of us put on the headset because we wanted to experiment to see what it was. And then there's a moment where we understand VR. Some of us might have gone on to go play video games or do some other things. And then there's that moment. And for me, it was coming into VR. And it was actually Educators in VR event that made me go, I get it. I understand. And now I do nothing but annoy all my friends who aren't on VR, which is great. So that's when we talk about the shared experiences. Can we experience something else with another person? And we all know that in here we can in VR. Now, if we can share that with prospective new members, with fundraising, with businesses, that brings a whole new element to VR. And there's really, I'm going to pass it over here quickly, Melanie, to Jane Louie, because she is one who inspired me to do more with VR. So Jane, can you, as I bump into you, introduce yourself and please expand on what I was rambling about.
You know, I showed up a little bit late because I was in a Zoom meeting this morning, believe it or not. So how many of you guys have been in Zoom and have Zoom fatigue, perhaps? Maybe you guys heard about that? All right. So when it comes to Zoom, you know, it's kind of like seeing you in a small little box, right? And you do it enough, whether it's for the work, other different things, right? Or maybe with family nowadays. And so I was in that meeting, and you know, the latest topic that we were talking about was called hybrid meetings, meeting in person as well as virtually. So when I was listening to the concerns, because even though Zoom did a study recently of the new normal of sorts of virtual meetings, they said that over 50% of the people that were surveyed want to have a hybrid meeting. So this is, they don't want to necessarily come in the office or come into the meetings all the time, person face to face. Some of them are perfectly happy just to be on their desk at home. And so, but yet they also complained that they're losing people in coming to meetings because, as a membership organization or, trying to get people together, you gotta get people engaged, right? You gotta make that meeting fun, interactive. So many people don't know how to do that. And Zoom doesn't help make it any easier either. So they're losing people, losing their interest, losing their time, and getting them engaged. So when they were saying that, they were trying to figure out, well, how do we get people engaged? How can we, and they were doing things like chats, or they were doing things like polling. They say, well, outside of Zoom, email these people afterwards. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I can nudge or bump into Steve, or if I could say hi to you all, or ask you in front of, a regular online system. I can see you, and I can see the personality that you have. And I can see your faces as well as see your gestures. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is the way to really have engaging meetings online. So, so I was proud to tell them that I was coming onto this stage, or to be with you all in this wonderful environment. And oh, by the way, there are products now trying to come out to be the, kind of take your face in a box, but put it into an environment like this. So that's just one little step, but this is where they're trying to get to. And here we have an ALTSPACE already. We're here now. We can do it now. We'll share some ideas and stories about that even more so. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jane. Well, I think what I would like to do is we're going to go into some more of our discussion questions, but I would like to go ahead and open up the questions. Allow raise hands. Oh, I don't know how to do that yet. Okay, we'll figure out how to do that. I'm going to start by talking to the panel about a few questions, and then if any questions
Melanie,
come up on your end, you can raise your hand.
I got
I'll
it.
do it. Okay.
Okay, Stephen's got it. So one of the things that I love about what I've learned in Educators in VR and other meetings is that we have a saying in VR: if there's no technical problems, that's bad luck. Technical problems are good luck. So I'm up here finding myself stressing out, trying to find some technical problems so that we'll have good luck. So, all right. Anyway, what I want to do is I'm actually going to go back to Joey for a minute, because Joey is brand new into VR. And what we were really excited about this is because Joey's got the newcomer's perspective. So I would really like to start out by finding out from Joey. Oh, it's Stephen's phone. I can see his mouth moving.
Yes, bye.
I'd like to find out from Joey, what are your hopes and expectations for VR as a newcomer?
Oh my gosh, my hopes and expectations for being in VR is an opportunity to communicate with people on a whole different level. And I just think this is so awesome that we can be here together to learn. And like I said, I'm brand new. Almost everything is a challenge to me at the moment, but that's comfortable, because that's what you get about being new. I think that one of the things I'm looking forward to in VR is being able to be more able, and to be able to do more things and to learn more about VR, so that I have an opportunity to connect with more people. I think I can learn from other people. There are so many different people here in the audience. We all come from such different backgrounds, and we all have different skills and knowledge and jobs, things that we do. And I'm just thinking that this is such a wonderful opportunity to engage with other people and to learn more about other people and to broaden my scope in life. I know that when I joined Toastmasters, when I first went there, I kind of like likening that to this experience. I was scared to death. I thought, what am I going to do? What if I fail? What if I make a mistake? And the bottom line is, it's okay. The more you fail, the closer you get to success. So I'm really excited about being here and about being a newcomer.
I think a lot of us felt that way about Zoom this year. Last year, when everybody suddenly had to go on Zoom, and people who were computer illiterate, as they would say, suddenly had to, in order to attend meetings like Rotary VR, Rotary and Toastmasters and other such meetings, even church, we had to all learn Zoom. And now we're coming into this whole new era of VR, and it is a little bit intimidating at first, but I think the excitement of it is just it's overpowering sometimes. So
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I think when it changed for me, when it really, that moment that it clicked, when I really became a VR person, was everybody who knows me knows I'm really into karaoke. That's like my favorite thing in the world. And when I couldn't do karaoke during the pandemic, it was really tough. And then made even tougher when one of my good karaoke friends, passed away, and we couldn't have a funeral for him, and I was just devastated. And how karaoke people deal with their friends dying is we go karaoke about it. So I found a little karaoke night here in VR, and somebody started singing my friend's song, Tennessee Whiskey, and I just broke down. And I didn't know anybody around me knew that I was crying or having a hard time, but all of a sudden, all these avatars came around me with all this love and these hugs, and it's okay. And I must have I ran out 2 batteries that night in karaoke. It sounds terrible, and I didn't even care because it was a shared experience, and I realized that's what it was about. So going back to the topic of leadership, though, I'll pose this to Jane. Jane, how do you feel that VR, let's see, how do I want to phrase this? How do you see the future of leadership organizations in VR?
So when you look at what is a leader, it's kind of like it's a person of influence, right? And it's a person that says, hey, look at what I'm doing. And then for people to be a leader, they have to have followers, right? So this person would have had to be, influential enough such that you would want to follow what they're doing. So where do you hear these kinds of words, right? These followers, these influencers and all that. You see it in social media, and you see it based on, videos, you see different kinds of people experiencing different types of things. And you get it, right? You see them, flying or, doing something great or eating something wonderful. And then you want to like, wow, I want to do that too. So in doing that, you have to show it visually, right? I mean, granted, we could look up words and read up on things and all. How many times, have you, gotten a book, but then you end up going into audio or, going into other ways of learning, not just by reading, actually by hearing, by feeling, by experience. The other part of it is that, we want to learn things fast. We want to do things fast. So how do you do that? You kind of, you watch something, it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And part of it is also, it's like, you want to build that experience, right? Kind of like, you see this person that's having a problem and breathing or having a problem, with a certain thing, and you see somebody helping them and you see how they're doing it. So then you learn, oh, wow, okay, as that leader is showing me, I can do that too. So they're trying to be more immersive. They're trying to be more, empathetic. It's like if I have empathy for you, I'm actually learning about what is it that you do and how I can experience and feel that. But I also want to be compassionate so I can help and do something about it. So when I see these things about virtual reality, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can see you, I can feel you, I can hear your stories, but also you can share it to me in so many different ways, not just in the environment that we're in, but the videos and other things that come with it as well. VR is a great tool to share, to influence, also, let people know in a pretty nice, quick, effective, and resultful way to share your story and what is it that you want them to do. So, a part of our cause, or come and do, help people fight, this COVID pandemic. If I can show you what that is, or show you how vaccines are done, or take you to places where you may never have been, and to only just doing it from your seat, and wow, that would be a great story I can tell you quickly.
Well, this might be a great time for us to pose a question to the audience on how has VR affected you in terms of leadership, service? What are some of the things that you've seen? And if you look down at the right-hand side, there should be a raise hand button. While we're waiting, actually, Stephen, would you be able to tell us the story about you had an experience where you were working with Rotary on getting the polio vaccine, getting donations for the polio vaccine, and how you
Sure.
used VR to do that?
Sure. It kind of goes back to, watching, experiencing VR and then really experiencing what it's all about. A couple of years ago, Rotary International created 360 VR films. And I believe, Jane, you were one of the producers of one of them. And they were all three really fabulous pieces. So we started taking them to, I go to my club and I said, I want to do this thing called VR, and I need a couple $1,000s to buy some headsets, and I'm going to go take them and put them on people's heads when we go to different events. Everyone across my whole place said, we have no idea what you're talking about, but we know you're a tech nerd and we trust you, go do it, which I'm grateful that they allowed me to do that. And we go in, and I was watching the three different films. There was one in particular that I was going to use at first as our main one to show people. But then I'm watching one that I had seen several times, and it's following a woman in an African village in, I think, Uganda, and she kind of travels by foot to this small village, and she's giving children the vaccine. And so I'm in VR, I'm sitting there watching her give the vaccine. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I see all these mothers with their babies just anxiously holding on to their babies, shaking because they wanted to get the vaccine for their babies. And I have two young kids, and I just connected. I was like, oh my gosh, I would be so frightened if I couldn't get the vaccine. And obviously right now we're feeling that even more. So right at that moment, I understood the power of an experience when you are trying to share that with somebody else. So now we go to these events, whether it's a local food market or a festival or a business organization's meeting or conference. And we put the headsets on the people and we just let them watch. And their experience will be different than our experience. And when they take off that headset, they are, wow, I understand why this vaccine is so important. I understand what service is, and I want to feel that again, so I want to maybe become a member. And then I get this call from a woman named Jane Louie here. And she says, have you thought about using it for fundraising as well? And that brought on a whole nother level of impact, being able to not only share our experience with potential members, and it's the same in business, whether it's nonprofit or business, or if you're an artist, but also being able to connect and make it, bring the monetary aspect of it in. So Jane, do you,
Yeah.
Can you speak to that for a moment?
That was a great way of doing it. And, when we travel, Rotarians, a lot of them, I will tell you, the average age is 60, 65 or older. So when it came to trying to introduce technology, it was kind of, wow, there was that part of it, and trying to let them understand what VR is about, or even try to say it. And the other part of it was, we also have these Rotaractors. These are the Gen Zs and the millennials that we also wanted to bring in, because they know a lot about screens and technology and stuff too. So we're trying to have these 5 different generations actually come together to understand how technology and virtual technology can be used. So on the one hand, depending on where they're at, because it's kind of like a 5-lane highway. People come in at some are a little bit slower than others, some are fast. So we, started off with walking the plank, right? I don't know if you guys have seen that VR, where you have this VR and you're like, 5,000, stories up on a building, and you have these people just actually in a regular room, just like where you probably are, and then just walking the plank using VR. And I would tell you, a lot of them, screamed and yelled and, fell or they jumped in front of the wall, or they had these different types of experience, because we knew that that experience would be so impactful to them. Once they saw that, by seeing, feeling, believing in that, then we were telling the story, the side of you. We brought in subjects like human trafficking and exploitation, substance abuse, mental health crisis, homelessness. These are all things that are happening, in our community, unfortunately. Trauma bonding, for the clinicians in the hospitals. The residents are learning about that so that they could become better at what they do to help people who have trauma. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people going through griefs and depression, having anxiety and things like that, especially nowadays with the pandemic. We've got surgeons that are using virtual reality so that instead of going hands-on and doing so many hours of surgeries, they're using simulations to be able to see how it works, how to work with the new technology, with the tools. And, and granted, they can make mistakes, but let it be the simulation that helps them to learn that. So they're learning faster, quicker, so that they could be more productive when it comes to that surgery or in that patient room. So other things like human trafficking, knowing the signs, who's out there, who's at risk, what are the things to say or not say. When you're talking to a person that maybe has trauma, there are some things that, the touch of a person or the words that are used, or even being a male or a female in gender and stuff can also make an impact. Learn those things, before you actually meet face to face. So VR can help in so many different ways for learning, social, emotional learning, which is the most impactful way of doing it as well. It's got to be active too. So you got to be more purposeful about it. And you ask for, that help. You build that compassion, but you still have to ask, hey, would you like to join us? Would you like to donate? Would you like to help with this project? And so those are the impactful ways of doing it in a more effective way as well with VR.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking about an app that actually Stephen had sent me, which is a public speaking app. And you actually go in and there's a simulation of an audience, and you can give a speech in there, and it will analyze your speech based on vocal variety and various things. And I haven't even played with the whole thing yet because it's just blowing my mind how exciting this is. But we actually have a question from the audience. So I'm going to call on, is it Fasticious?
Fastidious? Prestigious, yeah.
Fasticious?
Hello, it's facetious.
Facetious. Hi.
So guys, hello guys. I just wanted to say very quickly, I am a Toastmaster.
You just
I
lose
think
her?
we lost your voice.
I might have done that. I was trying to put the hand down, but
Oh, let's see. I think we have to leave her on. Okay, let's try that again.
okay.
All right.
There we
Facetious,
go.
can you
Yeah.
raise your hand? Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Absolutely. Oh, no worries, no
I heard
worries.
I'm a Toastmaster. I was like, yeah.
Right. No worries. I think I'll take that as a subtle hint. No, I'm just being facetious. But no, what I want to say though, guys, seriously, is that you asked a question about how this may have affected your leadership. This VR space was something that was always intriguing to me, but I've never looked further into it. It was the pandemic that actually kind of pushed me into this space, and to be honest, it was for the roller coasters. Until I found Outspace, I just figured, hey, this is a flight home, and I love roller coasters, and this is cool. But I haphazardly found Outspace, and the community and everything that's involved in here has just blown my mind. With that being said, obviously everybody's life changed upside down with the pandemic, and being able to bring in what I've done outside and have this experience in here, it kind of propelled me to create my business with myself and my my other half as my business partner, which is called Disorderly VR. And the reason why is because you made mention earlier about having that experience and having that moment in here. And until you have that moment, it's extremely hard, if not almost impossible, to articulate that to someone who hasn't experienced that. So because there's so much opportunity for people to actually be artistic and express themselves and cross different boundaries, that's what created this. We want to be able to merge the two. Like I said, being able to tell that experience is huge. That in itself is priceless. But even in an outside world, I'm involved in the first historical African American sorority, and this is something that I feel like needs to be put into the community more. So I just have a lot of ideas about just the boundaries of, well, really the way it can break boundaries, the possibilities and the amazingness it is. I will say I have not been back over to the roller coasters. From time to time I miss them. but I mean, it's just so awesome. So, I follow you guys and I see what you guys do. And I just think it's amazing because the ultimate goal and part of our mission is to be able to break barriers for people who would not normally have that advantage. So as we're growing and doing this, it's always to reach back and expand and expose, because just imagine how much could be done if more people had this experience. Even just the social aspect. I still haven't seen my family since the beginning of the pandemic. So anyway, I know I rambled, but I think I'll rejoin Toastmasters. Thanks, guys.
We're glad to have you back. I've been toying with the idea of getting a Toastmasters group here in ALTSPACE, and I sort of started it and then realized I really didn't have a big enough team and support system yet to do that. So I'll need to add you as a friend, because maybe we can work together on that down the road. You definitely come to our Rotary VR meetings on Thursdays, because we have Rotary and Toastmasters are in an alliance right now. So I think you'd really enjoy it.
You brought up something awesome, and that is inclusion, and, having that diversity also. And thank you, Stephen, when you invited me, we met some of the people in the audience, and I see you and you guys are moving around, and which is awesome. And, when I found out that, here we have a person from Australia who is disabled, or a person that is from Georgia that has been isolated for a while and very shy, or another person that is, kind of struggling, with certain types of mental health and stuff. And it was to be here to see you, who you are, right? And to learn about you, and is to be able to be inclusive, because once you're inclusive, then things like equity, and to be able to, have diversity, all of that. I mean, just by looking, and I'm just judging right now based on, your green color or your different things that you decide to put on your avatar. We are so diverse, and that we are coming together here. It's just so important. And I think this is we've got something going here.
This might be a great time to ask Joey a question. Joey, as a Toastmaster, what are some of the barriers that we're currently seeing in our organization as far as being able to be inclusive of everyone? Like, what are some of the things that hold people back in Toastmasters that we might be able to address in VR?
Well, I think one of the things that holds people back is their fear of speaking in public. We've all heard it said that there are people that would rather go to the dentist and get a tooth pulled than speak in public. Or, and you're going, oh my goodness gracious, is it that scary to speak in public? But you know what? I can really relate to that because that's how I felt when I first joined. Some of the things that hold people back are being afraid to be in person because what do I look like? What do I look like to an audience? And so I really embraced this alt space place to speak because I have an avatar. And so I can speak freely without having the worry on my end. I think that in Toastmasters, we face some of the same difficulties that our last speaker felt. There are people that are they're Zoom weary. They're so tired of being on Zoom meetings, and it's not the same as being in person for some of them because it's the same old, same old. You go to your meeting every week and you're done. Rather than when you're in person, you engage more with different people. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to learning in VR is to educate myself on how to work within VR so that I can relate better to everyone else that is in VR. Because like Melanie said, we are all educators of some sorts. We all have varying skills. We all have a way to help each other to grow, not only in our personal skills, but in our leadership skills. Now, one of the things that I find that being in Zoom and being this whole COVID thing and not being able to be in person is I have learned how to sharpen my mentoring skills as well as my coaching skills, because there is a absolute difference between being a coach and being a mentor. It's how you relate to people. It's how you help people. It's how you commit to other people. So I think even though there have been challenges, there have been good things that have come out of this in the fact that I too was looking for another outlet. And so when Melanie invited me to be a part of ALTSPACE and to be a part of this, I thought, oh my goodness, this is really an opportunity. When I look at my past, I've done certain things. And being in Toastmasters, I have learned and I have gained experiences that have helped me to do things that I never thought that I would do in life. I just had to take a chance and take a look at it. And I think the same thing holds true in this world of VR. When you look into your past, okay, but now what am I looking forward to? And so I'm looking forward to being a part of a larger community, being part of a place where I can help people, where I can assist, where I can learn from other people. And so I think even though Toastmasters has had challenges during this time, we also have had growth. Something good always comes out of something bad. I believe that in my heart. And so the COVID has been something bad, but good things have come out of it. I've learned to do Zoom. I've learned to take a chance and try other things. And pretty soon, after you've done it for a while, all of a sudden you look up and you've mastered something new. So I think even though we've had challenges, Melanie, I think that we've come out on this on the other side really in a positive way.
Absolutely. I think what's interesting about the ways that we can learn in VR versus any other way, even in person, is that you have the opportunity to put on the headset and go into somebody else's imagination or experience. That's really where it goes back to the whole shared experience. For example, what was the name of that app where the woman could take us into her experience of, it's called The Key. Ooh, I don't want to give too much away about that one. It's a very interesting app though. And it's free, I believe, and you can go into it, and it starts off and it's a bit like a game. But as you get into it, you realize that she's really describing her experience in a way that cannot be described with words, cannot be described in a book, or with any other experience really than in VR, because I walked away from doing that, and I don't know if it's like a 20, 30-minute experience in VR. For months, I was thinking back on that, like, oh my gosh, it changed my entire perspective.
Yeah.
And then
I'd love to speak on that when you're done. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. One of the things about being a good leader is being a facilitator. And that's creating a shared experience for people, for your followers, so that they can thrive in that environment. And are there any world builders here? Anybody that experimented in it? The thing about building a world is you are, just like this room here, you are building an experience. And we have different senses. We're all used to the visual and the audio, but we forget about some of the different senses. And the key there, we had Celine Tricart, the creator of that, come and speak, guest speaker for us, and she was just amazing. And one of the things she said about that, and again, we can't tell you much about it without giving it away. It's an incredible experience. It's free on Oculus. Please go see it. But she said she wanted to create something that you could touch in that experience. It was important for her to have the viewer reach out and grab something, because it engaged, even though we're technically not really touching something, it engaged another senses of our senses. So I think it's really important when we are talking about this shared experience, especially in a leadership, is to fully understand the experience that we are creating, whether we're in an office, just a regular office, or we're underwater with fish swimming around it. Everything we do, including those fish over here, is shaping the experience and allowing each of us to share in that experience and also create our own experience. And watching some of these, I want to say filmmakers, but Celine is so much more than that. It's more of a facilitator, creator of experiences, all I can say, are doing some amazing things. Dear Angela is another one on Oculus. If you haven't seen that one, it's a beautiful piece. A free download's well worth it.
Yeah, so amazing. I was thinking of some of the worlds we visited in Educators in VR. The ones that really always get me the most are the math worlds. The way that math can be taught in VR, it just blows my mind more than it can be taught. You can understand geometry from an entirely new perspective if you look at it in VR that you just cannot do in a book. I mean, I felt like I learned probably months worth of geometry from visiting a math world VR than I could have ever done in a class, trying to sit there understanding, but a teacher is trying to work out on a board. So we do have another comment from the audience, and that is, oh God, I'm saucy. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, welcome.
Good.
Everybody can hear me good?
Yes.
Awesome. So my question is this. So before the whole social media thing, I don't know how old people are here, but growing up, let's say in the 90s, there wasn't really much social media. In order to be one-on-one with somebody and talk with someone, you had to share body language and empathy and eye to eye. It kind of went out the door when Facebook, MySpace, I think, was the first actual big main social media thing that it all, like, everyone could say what they wanted and didn't really have to worry about any of those things, body language or eye contact, any of that. But with this coming out like this, it's kind of going back to that, where like you are face to face, one-on-one with people, and it is easier to show more empathy with people and be more sympathetic and understanding. And my question is, do you think that's necessarily a good thing?
I do.
I
I'd
would say
actually like,
yes. Go ahead.
yeah, I was actually thinking maybe Joey, you might have a response on this one. What do you think about the change that we've seen in communication as far as with social media, and how that might how we might bring back some of those old school ways of communication in VR?
Oh my gosh. So when the last speaker was speaking, I was laughing to myself. You made me chuckle, and thank you so much for that, because when I was a youngster, there was no social media. Social media was going, reading the newspaper and then talking to your neighbor. That was just about it. So all of this is new, but I think in every type there's some type of benefit that you could gain from looking at the right types, the types that fit you, what you are looking for. I think that, and you know what, and I do Facebook and I do email, I do text. I'm not in the Twitter world yet, or some of the other means of social media, but it's worth taking a look at it. Each has its own value at a different time. And when I take a look at Facebook, it had a great value for me at one time. Not so much anymore, just because if you have just a general Facebook group, you really, I love all of my friends and neighbors, but I really am not interested in what they eat for dinner every night. But then you can go to Facebook groups, on the other hand, and find people with a like mindset, people with the like interests and stuff. And that can be very powerful in engaging with other people. And so I take a look at this alt space. I take a look at where we are. And I think this can be another powerful tool for us to get our word out, to engage with other people, to learn, to share. And I think the shared experiences beyond just Facebook, because Facebook is a one-way communication. You talk to one person at a time, and so you only get one person's opinion or viewpoint. In a forum like this, we're able to speak to a large group of people. We can ask each other questions. We can comment. We can get different perspectives rather than a one-sided view. So I think that it all has a really good place. It's how we choose to use it. And the only way that I can make it better for me is to continue to explore all of these different options to find my best way to connect with people so that I can share my experiences to help other people.
I would like to add to that. For communications, only 7% of communications is based on word. Right? So the other 93% is based on nonverbal communications and your tone. So as we hear each other, whether it's on a phone, we can only see so much, right? When we're on Zoom, we can see each other, and hopefully the quality of the audio isn't too distracting, and we can make it happen better. Have you noticed that on the website that there are more videos on there? Have you noticed that on social media is really more like, pictures and videos, and YouTube is just amazing and what you can find in there. You can Google anything. You can look up and learn about anything and everything on there. And I don't know if you've noticed that a lot of these vendors that teach you on their help desk, they're doing it through videos now. Click on this video, learn how to do this, how to get into your app, things like that. And you look at Oculus, and it's just very, very simple. And so pictures and videos speak a lot much better and broader. And your gestures, what makes this so different is that I can move my arms. I can look at you. I can nod. I can see you. I can understand you. I can look at you. I can talk to you, as well as for others. Where can you do that on a Zoom? How can you do that in a two-dimensional box? You can only do it like this.
I'm amazed at how much you can read from people's avatars, how much body language you can read. Mm-hmm. And I remember early on in ALTSPACE going into an open mic night. And I think some of the, there were probably kids under 13 in there, but that was early on. They weren't booting them out yet. And the little boy, sounded like he was 10 years old or so, got up to do some rap. And he got up on stage and he started going, and then he melted down and he started crying. And the moderator, the host, she was wonderful. She went over there and she put her arm on his avatar's shoulder and comforted him and said it was okay. And it was okay. And he continued and helped him get through it. Eventually got through it and then walked off stage. Nobody in the audience ridiculed him. Everybody was supportive of him. But you could almost see his avatar crying, the way it seemed like his shoulder punched. And so I think those body movements do add empathy that we don't find anywhere on Facebook. And I think that's a great experience being able to see it. I don't know why we can see people, you said people came to you during karaoke only.
I had no idea they knew I was crying. It was just, whoa.
So our avatars are sharing that body language, and I think in a positive, very positive way. Except for a troll now and then that comes in and does some inappropriate gestures.
Even then, they're looking for attention. But yeah, I think we talked about one night in the Rotary meeting about, what is the currency in alt space? And, there's been talk about getting, money and that sort of thing, Bitcoin or something like that, going in alt space. But right now, I think where it's really at is in the love and the compassion that we give, because there's really not a whole lot more that you can give here other than your passion and your love and your support for other people and support for the programs that are going on. So that's just one beautiful thing I found in alt space that I really can't put into any other social media.
But there is an economic value for VR, because if you can learn quicker, faster, and be able to tell your story in a better, more immersive way, and have them feel going through your feelings and all, then you could be you can see people thrive from that. So if I can share with you a story of that child that is, hurting, and we need to provide more polio vaccine or COVID vaccine, and if I can, have you help and be a part of this volunteer organization to do that, and you can see the pandemic at what it's doing, then you feel it. I mean, there's 3 different steps really. One is compassion, so you learn it, you find out about it. The other is that you feel it, you see it, you understand it. The other one is called, is being able to help. So you feel urged to help. So if we can do that, whether it's to help another person or for a cause or to sell a product, right? You see this in retail, hospitality, they share experiences, they sell. Airbnb sells experiences, right? So you're seeing a lot of the industries and all the different industries use emotional ways, and VR is much more impactful and get that quicker to you. And so VR definitely is the way it's growing big. Now, what I would like to do though is not have this kind of clunky headset on me, right? And so it's kind of like, dragging down my face a little bit. I'm going to have some dents, but if the technology improves, on the headset and makes it smaller, and we've seen some of that in like Magic and stuff, Magic Leap and all. But technology is going to get advanced for sure.
Jane, I think that you might have given me this data that with people that experience VR, they are 40% more likely to donate or to take action after experiencing VR. I think I got that number for you, but I'm not sure. And that's an amazing thing when you think about it. They're 40% more likely to take action or donate for your cause or buy your artwork or your product. That's a pretty powerful thing. And that's why there's such a surge with VR right now, is because finally people are starting to say, hey, there is a market for this. And as long as we can keep that a positive market, I think it'll be a great thing going forward.
We're getting down to the end of time, and we have one more audience comment. So I'd like to open it up to Carlos May. Hope I said that right.
Oh, hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello. My English is not too good, but I will try. Your one question. I've discovered.
Echoing a lot. I'm not sure.
Huh?
You have a pretty big echo there. I'm not sure if I can understand you.
Hello. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Can you try?
I'm trying to pick this. I am passing. The next question. I am passing.
Okay. He's passing on that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and we can definitely take everybody off mute and everything and have more conversation afterwards. But I do want to make sure that we respect the time constraints of everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and call up Donna. She had an announcement for us, and then we were going to do a picture, and then we can stay and do some more discussion if you guys would like.
Thank you so much,
Ready,
Melanie. You guys, let's give it up one more time for Melanie and Stephen, Jane, Joey, Linda. Thank you so much for this discussion. And I just wanted to just give a shout out for our list of sponsors now. So I had mentioned HP, virtual reality, and HP higher education. I'd mentioned Engage VR and Avantis, and we're so grateful to their support during the Univirtual experience. We also do have other sponsors, our stellar sponsors, and I'd just like to acknowledge them for a moment. Grove XR is a education learning platform. Dr. Angelina Joel Dayton, most of us know her as the VR lady. Frame VR is a web XR browser-based social, creative, and educational VR platform. We're doing a bunch of events in Frame, and if you haven't checked it out, please do. If you have, you're going to want to know that there's 2 events happening in Frame following this today. LearnBright is another educational app. You'll find information at learnbright.com. LBX Immersive and Waking Dream XR. We're just so grateful to all of these sponsors. So thanks to them. And last but never least is Tony Cube Studios, who is responsible for coordinating and managing all the videos that are happening during Univirtual. They will be made available at some point. And we just want to thank him for his sponsorship in that area. And we want to thank the moderators and the filmers that take their time to come and do this for all of you so you can experience this event and you get to experience it for free. Isn't that amazing? So we love our ALTSPACE community. So thank you for coming. Keep checking the calendar for more events.
And thank you, Donna,
end recording now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah.